And today we're lucky. We're going to go over all stuff LinkedIn and AI. But before we get started, most of you, I think everyone was at the Southern Marin Buy Sell meeting last week. And Angela spoke for 10, 15 minutes regarding LinkedIn and stuff. So we wanted to make sure we could go on a deeper dive here. But before we get started, let's just go over about, who Angela Dunz really is. Okay, you guys ready for this? Okay. Angela calls herself the accidental entrepreneur, having moved to the San Francisco Bay Area with her shiny new MBA and dreams of being a CMO. Instead, she started her own business. Angela works with attorneys sharing her expertise in business development, professional branding, content strategy, video, and thought leadership on LinkedIn. Without a website, she built her entire vibrant business using free LinkedIn. She is a former rock climbing guide and lives in Marin, where the hiking and the weather are fabulous. Being from Wisconsin, she's a devoted Broncos fan and a shareholder. Just kidding. She's a devoted Packers fan and a shareholder. So welcome, Angela, to our Realtor Success Series. And the floor is yours. So again, we can, like she said, as we go along here, if you have questions, raise your hand or just shoot it out there and we'll get it going for you. So let's get this party started.
Very clever for slipping that in, Darren. That's really funny. I'm going to go ahead and share my slide presentation right away. And like Darren said, please do jump in and ask questions in real time. It's always so much more relevant that way. How do you become the answer? We're going to be talking about coming up in the right AI searches today. You really want to position yourself as a market expert, not just a salesperson. When I talk to people about realtors, they still have this stigma of them being overly salesy and that sort of thing. And I think it's an important shift to really position yourself as an expert and not just a transactional type of person. And here's the real question we're going to answer today is, do you want to come up in the right searches or none at all? Because that's what's going to happen if you don't jump on this AI train right now. I mean, who knows how long it's going to last, but right now it's the real deal. Darren, thank you so much for having me here for this presentation. I love doing these things. You meet the greatest people and it's always a really good time. So thank you so much.
Pleasure. Go ahead.
And so today's focus is really on search is becoming increasingly important for realtors. I mean, it's important for everybody, but you guys are in a hyper competitive space. It's really a noisy space. And if you want to stand out from the competition, really focusing on how to position yourself for search is going to become more and more important. The people that win this game are going to be the ones that learn how to position themselves well in AI. So, do you want to risk being invisible completely? If you're not on LinkedIn, if you're not on Instagram, if you're not on Google, My Business, things like that, you're going to become invisible very quick. Because what I'm hearing from web developers is websites are just not that important anymore. Even for SEO, they are really static. They're not doing a lot of good unless you're spending a king's ransom on SEO and other things like that, blogging like a mad person, that kind of thing. Websites are just not doing the trick anymore. You have to be in active social media to really stand out from the crowd. So again, I'm going to stress this. Position yourself as an expert and choose a specific market. People hire the agent that understands the market deeply, who really has an understanding of what's going on in the market, can answer those deeper questions. So large language models are currently designed to really pick up on the Q&A format. So if you're posting, if you're writing a blog, if you're doing anything, even if you are commenting on someone else's post on social media, you want to use the Q&A format because that's what the large language models are really picking up on. What they're also looking for is conversational content. So if you're on Reddit and different models like that, that conversational tone, that real human...
Hey, Matt.
Hello, happy Tuesday.
Hey, how are you?
Did someone have a question?
Good. I'm in the middle of a LinkedIn call right now.
Do you want to just read
Don, you're not on mute.
Awesome. Distinctiveness is another. So how many of you have seen really generic content out there? Just raise your hand, toss a comment into the chat. Because of AI, there is so much generic content. And so what AI models are really looking for is, are you distinct? Do you stand for something? Have you really really chosen a path of some kind? And then are you consistent with that subject matter across all platforms? If you show up frantically for a month because you have some time to do business development and then you're gone for 3 months, that is not being rewarded in any of the social media platforms, and especially not on LinkedIn. LinkedIn rewards consistency. So you really want to think about how can you do this for yourself and keep up with it. So I recommend to most of my clients that they show up at least once a week and post something, comment on other people's content, and comment on your own content as well. Answer back those other things. You really want to establish your authority. So if you win any awards, if you're doing public speaking, if you have testimonials, establish your authority. Freshness and activity is also another thing that the large language models are picking up on. If somebody hasn't been active for 6 months, they're really not interested in that profile. And then structured information. So things like checklists and bulleted lists and anything that really lays out in a structured format. That is what AI is picking up on these days. So what's your market? You really want to dive deep into a single market of some kind. So whether it's first-time home buyers or downsizers or luxury market or families, relocators, rural or investment properties, you really want to think about where is your best expertise and where is your interest? Who are the kind of buyers that you really love working with? And then just really double down on that. So what are smart realtors talking about these days? Here are some topics that you may not have thought about that you really want to add to your repertoire. So what are the trends? What are some lifestyle kind of things about the area that you represent? What's going on with relocation? Where are the best places to move to, even within Marin County or Sonoma or Napa? Talk about specific neighborhoods and what they have to offer. How do you build wealth with real estate? Local business ecosystems. I know that Craig does videos of local business owners and things all the time. I absolutely love watching that stuff. It really has this warm, fuzzy feeling to it. What about the timing of things, and especially with interest rates and all kinds of things that are going on? What are the emotional decision-making pieces of this? How often do you see a husband and a wife agree about anything when they're making these decisions? And how can they come to better decisions when they don't agree on things? What are the generational shifts and values around home owning and neighborhoods and, the education part of it? Schools, lots of things have changed these days. Remote work has really changed a lot of things. And that's something that I don't see any realtors talking about at all. And there are some topics and some headlines that I'll recommend further on in this presentation that will give you some suggestions on how to address this a little better. Design is a big deal. Floor layouts, how to fill that space once you move into it, those kinds of things, and investment strategies. Those are all great topics for realtors to be talking about right now. So what am I really saying? What I'm really saying is you need to set yourself apart. You need to think differently than you have for the past 5, 10, 15, 20. I know some of you on this call may have been in the business for 30 years or even more. You need to think different right now. This is the most disruptive time we've ever been through for business, and that is true of absolutely every industry. It is time to adapt or be left behind. So you really need to think differently. Think like your buyer. Really take some time and put yourself into the shoes of your buyer. What's important to them right now? What are the questions that you keep getting from buyers? And address those questions in your comments and your content that you're sharing on social media. So here are some suggestions of some things that your ideal clients might be interested in. AI loves titles like this. 3 things buyers are misunderstanding. This kind of title or headline structure is something that AI just cannot resist. So 3 things about whatever it is, or 7 tips for that sort of thing. Anything that sounds structured and intelligent, AI is going to grab it in a heartbeat. Why? And here's a question. Why luxury buyers are suddenly prioritizing walkability? And this is a big deal. What is this walkability all about? During the pandemic, I put less than than 5,000 miles on my car in 3 years. Walkability was a really big deal for me while we were all in lockdown. I could walk everywhere and it was wonderful. What nobody tells you about downsizing after 60. Another great headline. The hidden costs of moving to San Francisco from Marin. What are those hidden things that you have to pay for that you wouldn't know unless you were in the San Francisco market? Why homes near pickleball courts are suddenly premium properties. These trends are really important at the time and they really can be big selling points. What Silicon Valley layoffs are doing to the North Bay market. How are these things affecting your specific market? Be the one that is the expert on all of this. We are watching a major shift in how business is done, in how people are found, in how buyers choose who they do business with. And AI engines are giving us a lot of the answers instantly to what we want to know. So this is really a big deal. This AI train is huge right now, and if you're not on it, you're being left behind. Real estate is one of the industries most affected because what people want answers to are incredibly nuanced questions. They're emotion, and they're based on emotion. Of course, we make all of our major decisions based on emotion, and we back it up with logic. But that first, no decision will be made unless your emotions get involved. Location-based is really important as well. People are getting much pickier about where they want to live and how they're going to spend their money. So be answering these questions. These are some of the things that recently came up in search on AI. Best neighborhoods near San Francisco for families with horses. Best realtor for luxury divorce sales in Marin. Where should retirees move in Sonoma County? Best areas in Petaluma for walkability and restaurants. Should I buy now or wait for the rates to drop? Everyone wants to know the answer to that. Who specializes in relocations from Silicon Valley to wine country? Those kinds of things are the questions that are being asked. Are you coming up in the right searches for that? What is your specialty? So AI systems are looking for a lot of different signals. It's not just the content that you're posting. They're looking for reviews and recommendations, testimonials. Make sure that you are keeping those up to date on your website, or that you're using Yelp or other things to make sure that your reviews are current. Google My Business is great for that. What is your expertise? Are you being consistent? Are you citing your sources? Are you a source for things? Do you have local authority? Are you really putting yourself out there in a thought leadership way? And then video is everything right now. Video is, and let me explain why this is true. The algorithms are really what's driving all of this. And words are very light fare. But once you post a video, there is a certain amount of chunkiness to that. There is some density. And that is what AI systems get much more excited about, is this chunkiness. There's a lot more links involved with video. There's language involved. There's a chunkiness. There's all kinds of things involved with video, and most of them are housed on YouTube or Vimeo or your website or lots of other places. All those links and backlinks are what really help attract AI, because that means you're all over the internet. Interview style is super popular right now. People don't want to take your word for it. They want an expert to interview you. Your social presence everywhere, and you want to limit that because you can't be everywhere. It's exhausting. So if it's 2 platforms, if it's 3 platforms in your website, whatever it is, limit yourself and be consistent with that. Mentions across platforms are very helpful. I had an attorney that just got chosen for a particular client because people were talking about him on Reddit. He didn't even know what Reddit was, but his clients love him so much that they're talking about him and they're giving advice to other people on Reddit. Don't discount some of these other forms also. Make sure that your reputation is out there. The Realtor with the strongest digital reputation ecosystem wins. So it isn't just about being on LinkedIn and your website anymore. It's about being out there and being mentioned on Yelp or Google My Business or Reddit and some of the other places where there are the more raw conversational reviews of you and your business.
Angela, can I ask a quick question? question?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so on back to the videos real quick. I want to ask, because you see sometimes, does it make a difference if you see the videos that are created and it's the person, but you can tell it was AI generated? Like it's not that person really speaking. It's just they're talking about whatever subject it is, but it's just via AI.
It's stock
You know what I
real
mean?
stuff behind it. Yes.
Yeah.
There's
So
lots
is that affect anyway?
It does, and thank you for asking this question because it brings up a couple of things. I tell people all the time, if you're only trying to win the algorithm game, you're constantly going to be chasing. Now, so let's step back a second. What is it that the algorithms are responding to? They're responding to how the humans are reacting to the content. So if you're posting content that the humans are interested in, the algorithms will follow. So with video, we have a tendency not to like the AI generated video as much. Now, video is always going to be more preferred by AI than a text post. So you are winning the game in that sense, but it's real video with real facial expressions that is going to win every single time. Because the fastest path, and I cannot say this often enough, the fastest path to know, like, and trust for you is video. I hate being on video, and especially if it's live video, like a LinkedIn Live and things like that, but that's where I get my most traction because it's me and all my quirkiness, and people either like me or they don't. And so it's the great sorting hat. And once people choose you, they really choose you. Loyalty is still, and we want to be loyal to those people because it's just too hard to make those decisions over and over again about who we're going to go with. So really post for the humans, use video, and definitely the preference is going to be get your face in there. It may not be for the whole video. I'll post things where I demonstrate something on LinkedIn, but I try to make sure that it's me front and center at the beginning, introducing the topic so that AI can see my facial expressions and know that it's not a stock photo of a stock video of some kind. Great question, Darren. Anybody else have any questions right now?
Angela, I have a question. You mentioned video, and I find myself a lot of times, I do post quite a few videos, but sometimes I just don't have video content and a photograph is available to me. I'll use a number of photographs and create an animation screen. I do get more engagement with that, but what I'm hearing you say is that video is key. I would imagine because of the chunkiness of video, it would be superior to an animation, but is an animation still considered a valid method?
I would still say that any kind of an animation or a video of any kind is still number one choice over just text or just photos, that kind of thing. Video is number one, no matter how you generate it. Things that are just text, like I said, the algorithms are going to pass over it every time for something that has more of that chunkiness and more of the media links, something that it has links elsewhere on the internet. Those are things that are much more attractive. But yeah, keep posting those because as you said, you're getting better engagement with that. Anything that has motion and activity to it is going to attract even the humans more so than a static stock photo or something like that. So great questions, you guys. Any other ones? All right, I'm going to dive back in to the PowerPoint.
Go downstairs and throw your pants up, Wayne. You're going to throw your pants up.
Diving back into the PowerPoint presentation, AI loves specificity for sure. So here's some of the things that really smart realtors do. You create hyper local content. And if anybody's ever been out in West Marin, they might recognize where this spot is. I used a lot of local photos. So some things that you could be talking about. Best neighborhoods in Marin for remote executives, because that's what everybody wants to do these days. They want to work from home, right? Best elementary schools in Marin. Aren't all those people from San Francisco and Silicon Valley coming up here for our schools? Talk about it. What's it like living in West Marin with teenagers? OMG, I lived for 9 years out in Woodacre. This is difficult. So talk about that if your clients are people who with families. Number 2, this is another thing that realtors are going to do if they're really, really smart. They answer real questions publicly. AI pulls from blogs, LinkedIn posts, YouTube transcripts, FAQs, wherever they might be, even if it's a landing page, it doesn't even have to be a website. Interviews, for sure, Reddit discussions, podcast transcripts, community discussions on some of those, those big servers that are out there. AI drives on all of it. So I want to go back to this LinkedIn post thing. I recently did a 2-part series for my newsletter on emojis and how emojis relate to the algorithms. And they don't directly affect the algorithms, but they do affect the human being's behavior, and that drives the algorithms. In the research process for this LinkedIn post that I did, out of the 12 resources that I used, 7 of them were LinkedIn posts. And it was such a surprise to me. And they cited their sources at the bottom of the post. But LinkedIn posts are becoming an answer to people's questions. So if you're only posting once a week, those posts should be really high quality so that they come up in AI searches for you. So here are some other topics that you might want to think about that are in that Q&A format. What scares buyers the most right now? No one wants to talk about that, but everybody wants to know the answer. How much over asking are homes actually going for in Marin? That's a real thing to talk about. Somebody is going to trust you over the next guy if this is something that you're willing to talk about. What are insurers looking for in California right now? And that's such a hot topic and a controversial one as well. Do you know the answers to that? What questions should buyers ask an HAO or HOA before they make an offer? Most people would rather avoid HOAs altogether, but what are some of the things that they need a heads up about if they are going in that direction? Video matters probably more than anything else, and people hate it when I say this, and like I said, I am an introvert. Video scares the bejesus out of me. It's hard. I really struggle making videos, but it is, most people are going to tell you that they have seen one of my videos before they decide to do business with me. About 100% of my clients. AI systems are increasingly breaking down complex information from the captions to the video, the transcripts to the video, the YouTube metadata, and your spoken expertise. Whether it's, if I've done a speaking event someplace and somebody posts that video, people mention that to me even years later. That stuff really has validity. So,
Angela, real quick, couple quick questions that popped up. I just want to get them out of the way just so we can make sure we're all on the same page. One, just to clarify, what do you mean by chunkiness? It's just the data information, more robust information, chunky.
Chunkiness is more of a media quality. So words are very light fare, but a video that actually has a location on YouTube in several different places, it's about 1,000 times more chunky, depending on how long that video is, than just text. So the algorithms are really picking up on this density quality, this chunkiness that something like a landing page or video is number one. Podcasts are super sticky because usually that podcast has been shared on several different podcast hosting sites. It's been shared on somebody's website. It's been shared on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, all over the place. So podcasts they have the largest legs as far as stickiness and chunkiness goes.
Okay, perfect. And then one more that I think we'll cover, it's probably on everyone's mind, but I think we can cover it towards the end and on how all this works. But the question is basically, where does one find time to be a realtor in the middle of all this other stuff, which I get, right? But
excellent question. And so if you are just starting out posting content and trying to win this whole AI game, what I recommend is you make sure that whatever profiles you're on, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Google My Business, make sure that your profile is completely filled out. If your profile on those platforms is completely filled out, there's no blanks, there's nothing you've ignored, AI is going to pay a lot more attention to it. Now, if you're going to start posting, I recommend you do it on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is one of the number one searched platforms, because of the professionalism and the polish that most content has there, it is the B2B platform. Everything else is B2C. And post once a week to start out with, and it doesn't have to be something original. What I'm working on with a coach that I'm working with right now is he's finding an article from Harvard Business Review or, Fast Time or Fast Company, Inc., places like that. And then you pull out what you think is important from that article, or you can actually disagree with what the article says and add your own expertise. But if you're adding your own thoughts to a published article, could be something from the IJ, could be something from anywhere, but you don't have to post original content. It could be a listing. It could be an article that you read about, what are the design trends in 2026. The Pantone color of the year is always a big deal. People want to know, what is that color and why did they choose that? It could be about the schools. It could be about the neighborhoods. Really look at local resources and reshare the information that you think will be valuable to your ideal clients. So don't make it really hard. It doesn't have to be original content. It can be something that you borrowed from someplace and you put your own thoughts on top of it. It doesn't have to be video. If you're sharing it from another third party, it's going to have some chunkiness to it and it's going to get you some traction. Now, just remember, if you're just starting out, it takes a little bit of time to build momentum. Give yourself a month, 2 months, 3 months of being very consistent before don't give up in that 3-month period, because it takes a little bit of time to build momentum. Do you think that answers the question sufficiently, Darren?
I think so. Yeah. I think the one about as far as finding time, it's one of those things. It's just like anything else. I mean, once you kind of start doing a couple little things and you just build on it, and then all of a sudden it's just natural. It's just a habit, and it's part of your business plan, however you want to do it. So,
and I think the easiest way to do it is, what are the questions you're getting from the people that you're working with right now? Just answer those questions.
Yeah.
Whatever resources you can find to answer those questions. I mean, if your client has a question, don't you think that there's 10 other people out there that have exactly the same question that would be interested in your take on that? So make it super easy for yourself. Make it part of your natural conversations and day-to-day activities. I mean, if I have an initial consultation with somebody and they ask a question, I'm going to run to that transcript and I'm going to pull that question out and I'm going to create a piece of content around that, because that's a hot topic right now. And if you're an expert in your business, those questions are easy to answer. And people are interested in your opinion. A lot of people...
There's a place to go, correct? That you just go to find out, like, do you go to AI and say, hey, what are the questions that most people are asking right now? Or where do you get, like, those list of questions that you've presented here? Where did you get those?
Some of them, I got them from talking to some of my realtor friends and then sort of tailoring the questions that I was asking AI. So it's always it's always a combination of, going to Google, going to ChatGPT, and then putting your own perspectives on top of that. Some of those questions were actually my own questions, but they were prompted because of an AI search that I did. So it's always best to get your opinion and your little twist involved, but you can start with AI for sure. I mean, it's so much easier than starting with a blank slate.
I can tell you, like, for personal experience, like for Megan and I, because we're looking at other states to where we want to buy a second home. And I've gone into AI and I say, hey, we're looking for a place, walkability to a coffee shop. I put that in there, where we can meet other like-minded people, all these questions. I have a whole list of questions and it'll tell you, you want to go to this zip code and here it is. And it's been great. So
yeah. And what is the advantage of one zip code over another zip code? That'd be a fantastic little post. Mm-hmm. And how many different zip codes are there in Marin? These are things that are easy for you to address. What I'm really trying to say is don't make it hard. Make it a part of your natural everyday business. What are the questions that are people that people are asking? What are the questions you have? That might be really interesting as well. What's going on with insurance? That's changing rapidly. What's going on with financing? There's much more creative ways to do financing all the time. Who are the best mortgage lenders? What is that checklist that you're going to need for movers? Who are the best movers in Marin? All of those kinds of things are going to be really valuable. So make it stuff that's really practical and timely. There are different stages through the whole buyer journey. What are the questions at different stages? Those would all be great topics, I think.
Good.
So let's dive back into the PowerPoint and finish this up so we can get to Q&A. AI is trusting multi-format authority. So Darren, you asked how much time you depend on, how much time you put into this. I am only on LinkedIn and my website. I occasionally post if I have a ridiculous amount of time and something that I want to post onto Facebook, but I'm not very good at doing the multi-platform thing. But I do go on to Reddit every once in a while and answer a whole bunch of questions, and I have gotten business from that. You want to make it something that, if you have 10 minutes while you're waiting for somebody, go on Reddit and answer a question. You might get some traction from that. So make this multi-platform thing easy for yourself. But realtors who are doing things weekly, even if it's on a single platform, if you're doing market updates or neighborhood walkthroughs, relocation advice, local business interviews, all of this stuff is searchable and it benefits more than just you. Local business interviews, that is going to be an advantage to that local business as well. Neighborhood walkthroughs are something that, go to the farmer's market and do a short 1-minute video. There's lots of ways that you can do things really easy in your day-to-day things. How many of you went to a farmer's market over the weekend? Just add this into your daily routine and your marketing, make it natural. So the fourth thing that smart realtors are doing is they're making sure that their reputation is distributed across platforms. So not just testimonials on your website, but posting testimonials on your LinkedIn profile and getting recommendations that you can post into the news feed, Google Your Business, things like that. You want to make sure that you have multi-platform places where your reputation is number one. This is a really misunderstood concept. I just spent some time 2 weeks ago going through all of my testimonials on LinkedIn and creating a little graphic, and I just had all of them added to my website. You have no idea what that did to my website traffic in the last 2 weeks because I added new content and I added something that helps my reputation. So you want to make sure that it's multi-site. AI trusts third-party mentions, and this is why Reddit is so important right now. Just Google your own name and find out what's going on out there on different platforms mentioning your name and your business. If you have the opportunity to be guest on a podcast, don't say no. I don't care whose podcast it is. Podcasts are the stickiest things there are. And LinkedIn activity. You do not have to be posting on LinkedIn to come up in searches on LinkedIn. If you want to go in and comment on other thought leaders in your industry, that's great. Who's your favorite mortgage lender? Go and comment on their content on LinkedIn. Who is your favorite bridge loan specialist? Who is your favorite appraiser? All of those favorite people, go and comment on their stuff. Or if somebody's posting really good information about mortgage rates and that kind of thing, go comment on their stuff. That will make you visible in so many different people's networks. That is a really great visibility strategy. Make sure that you're getting reviews. Even if you're going back to past clients, people that you had a really easy time working with, make sure that you're getting reviews. Go to local publications. Ask the IJ if you can enter an ad or an article or something like that. Business associations are another place for you to have a profile and to get more visibility. And definitely YouTube. YouTube is one of the most searched things because video is so sticky. So a recent report found that only 8.4% of U.S. real estate agents appeared in AI generated responses in their own market. And the top 1% out of that 8% captured nearly half of the citation share. Visibility concentration is happening really fast. So be one of that 1% by taking a little bit of time and doing as much as you can in a practical way. Consistency beats virality. Now on LinkedIn, this is more true than it is of any other platform. LinkedIn hates virality. The reason they change the algorithms all the time is because there are so many of the younger members on LinkedIn that are trying to game the algorithm. And LinkedIn hates that. You have no idea. It's like all out warfare. They are fighting virality, and other platforms are doing that as well. Consistency is what they're looking for. So you want to work with these systems and make sure that you are taking advantage of what they're looking for. If you post once a month, do it religiously. That's only 12 times a year. That's 12 pieces of content. I recommend that you try to move that to once a week. So that's 4 pieces of content. June is coming up. Take this week and pick out 4 pieces of content that you want to share and schedule it out so that you're done and you don't have to worry about it until July. So repeated expertise, stable positioning in a single market. Don't switch markets. I mean, a lot of people are going to have like 2 or 3 places where they really have a lot of expertise, and that will not confuse AI. But if you're talking about 5 different markets, that is probably not going to work so well for you. The consistency, if you get anything out of this entire presentation, whatever you're doing, trying to do it consistently, and with clarity. So I hope I've made a case for why you would want to do some of this. And I've talked a lot about what. Let's shift to how. Here's another big shift. Instagram is not going to help you very much with this unless you're posting video Instagram, because Instagram is image-based. And right now, the AI models are not searching images. They're really much more interested in language, semantics-based formats like Facebook, like LinkedIn. So TikTok and Instagram are not going to be as useful as some of the other formats. LinkedIn's internal search is about the most powerful there is out there. A year and a half ago, they really beefed up the way they do search and they changed it completely. AI systems love LinkedIn for a lot of different reasons, and they crawl it constantly. Hashtags are no longer something that they're using in search. It's really based on relevant keywords and thought leadership. They love the professionalism and the credibility that they find. The bios on LinkedIn are very structured. They have lots of different sections, so AI can pull out relevant information. Your expertise there is explicit. If you've got a lot of recommendations on your profile, AI can see that. And it is a numbers game with that. And the recommendations are public. Content on LinkedIn is indexed. And professional relationships are reinforced on LinkedIn. So this is a lot of the reason why AI is really preferring LinkedIn over other platforms. AI searches to understand a couple of things. Who you help, so who is your target audience? What market are you serving? And you want to be very specific about that. The expertise, what is the special knowledge that you have that maybe the next guy doesn't have? And what topics do you discuss? It's really going to be searching for consistency in the topics that you discuss. So is your content consistent? So what realtors should prioritize first? A crystal clear niche. Whatever that niche is, make sure that you choose it and you stick with it for a consistent amount of time and you show your expertise in that niche. Number 2, you're going to want to optimize your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn has so many different places where you can increase the density and the amount of keywords that are added. So look at places like your headline. It shouldn't just be what you do. It should also be about the problem that you solve and the ideal audience that you serve. Make sure that your about section has questions in it and you're using every possible word available to you in that about section. Keywords are super important and they trend a lot. I do a lot of research all the time. I'm doing refreshes on 5 of my clients right now because things have shifted. Specialties. What are your specialties? Make sure that those are in the right place on your business page and in the services section of your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that you provide geographic clarity. A lot of people in the Bay are going to have San Francisco Bay Area, but they only work in Marin, or they only work in the East Bay, or whatever that might be. You want to be providing geographic clarity. Your featured section is something that you should be using, and you should be adding things to that. Every time you post something, add something new to the featured section so that there's new content on your profile. And do make sure that you have a business page on LinkedIn, or that your brokerage has a business page, and that it's something that's up to date and that they're adding content to on a consistent basis. Here's a little bit of a disclaimer. You're going to hate the next statement, but please take it with a grain of salt and some practicality. Weekly video is one of the best things that you can do to make sure that you are winning this visibility game and being picked up by AI. Even super simple ones, like the ones that Craig was talking about that have images that are splashing across the video, or they're using stock video, that sort of thing, and break it up with a bulleted list and things like that. Authenticity is always going to win over production value. The more raw the video, the more people are going to view it, because we really are allergic to the overly polished kind of stuff these days. The fastest path, as I've said before, to know, like, and trust is video. So make sure that if you feel comfortable with it at all, you're experimenting with video. I'm going to tell you, it has been one of the most successful things I've ever tried. And once you shoot a video, make sure that you are recycling that over and over again every couple of months. Just couch it in a little bit different way. Frame it up. Position it with a little bit different perspective every time you share it. So, hyperlocal education content. Here are some of the things that you should be focusing on. Neighborhoods that you serve, schools, trends, lifestyle, migration, insurance, fire zones, big one, taxes, big one, restaurants that are local, that sort of thing. Focus on some of these things. Is there a dog park in that neighborhood? Might be really important to some couple. Google reviews and testimonials. Reviews are an AI training grounds. They want to know other people's opinion about you. So make sure that you have reviews out there, and recent ones if you can get them. Other considerations. You want to make sure that you have an FAQ page on your website, or if it's possible to put together a landing page that is specific FAQs for your expertise. Are you on Reddit? Are you checking Reddit? Have a profile there too. Do you have a YouTube channel? If you're sharing video, you definitely should have a YouTube channel. Do you have a business profile on ChatGPT and some of the other large language models? Did you know you could have your own business profile on ChatGPT and make yourself more findable? Are you using the Q&A format? And if you have an email newsletter, why aren't you posting pieces of that on LinkedIn? LinkedIn has a newsletter function, and you can pull out pieces of that to share on other platforms. Make a video about it. So the opportunity in AI search is wide open for realtors who want to position themselves clearly. Take advantage of that. And I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for being here. And if you haven't already connected with me on LinkedIn, make sure that you do that.
That was great. There was so much stuff in there. A couple quick questions because we only have like 4 minutes. So one was, are you able to share these slides, or can we get these slides out to our team call?
Yes.
Okay.
I will send
so send that to me and I'll get it out to everyone.
Yes. Great.
Okay. And then this is kind of what I was saying, and Sophia actually, she phrased it better here. Train an LLM with your voice to write posts for you, then you can just review, edit, and post. Okay.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I was saying. If you have that, I didn't know it was called LLM or whatever, but that's what, does it get the same bang for the buck if you do that?
It does. I'm a writer. I'm a published book author. And so I have this love-hate relationship with AI and training AI to my voice. But I am writing another book, and I just dumped 17 chapters into AI. And it's really easy and that book has its own specific voice and tone. And so I can get it to write another additional chapter to that book in the same tone and voice if I give it a topic. So AI can be trained to have your specific quirkiness. My business development coach just recently took, it was like 22 of his newsletters and dumped them into Claude. And now he generates all of his newsletters through Claude. He just picks a topic. He says, use my voice. And here's 3 talking points that I want to discuss. And he comes back later and edits it.
Karen had a question. She has her hand raised.
Hey, Karen.
Hey, Angela. This was amazing. Thank you so much. Good to see you. I'm getting my feet into AI. Which platform do you feel is the best? I've heard that Claude is good for writing and ChatGPT is good for questions, but what would you recommend for business?
I'm having really good luck with ChatGPT, but I'll tell you why. And I think this is really important to understand. I've been using ChatGPT for 3 years. And so ChatGPT has learned my interests, my tone, my voice, my quirkiness, all of that esoteric stuff. So once you pick a platform, use the paid version and stick with it. Now, I will use Perplexity and Gemini, and I use Claude quite a bit because I do want to get a second opinion. Sometimes ChatGPT gives me a really great answer, but I might want to look someplace else just to see what other points of view or, unique insights I can gain on a specific topic. I want to look at it from a couple different sides if I'm really going to discuss it in a newsletter with my clients. I want them to get some objectivity. So I use several different platforms.
Yeah, I think this was so great, Angela. And I mean, everything that you said was just so on point. Thank you so much for sharing all this. And also, I agree with you with ChatGPT knows me so well. And I've just spent the last 2 weeks training Claude to be like us. And it's worth taking the time to set up Claude correctly if you're going to dive into it with the instructions, with the skills, with, really finding who your voice is, because Claude was getting frustrated for both Emma and I when we were doing things without the proper training. But now I use ChatGPT. Like you said, I go back and forth with the two because I feel like you get different things from the different system. But Chat is just the easy one. Just go back and forth. Like you said, but Claude is the one that can do things for you in project and co-work, and you can actually get real stuff out of it.
And I've been using it increasingly for ideas on images for posts or to create images, unique images for posts. So there's so many different uses. Whatever you're struggling with, take it to a large language model and get most of the preliminary crap part of it out of the way.
That was amazing.
And the worst thing we can do is put our our head under the blanket and say, this is not, happening. We have to just dive into it, as uncomfortable as it is. So this was phenomenal, Angela. Thank you so much for doing this for us. We so appreciate it.
Angela, great job. This was amazing. Thank you for coming here. We're about 1 minute over, so I don't want to take anyone's time. I know everyone's got to get out there and do their stuff. So I assume if they have questions, obviously they can connect with you on LinkedIn. And you'd be more than happy to answer any other questions. I had a couple other that I didn't get to, and I apologize. I just didn't want to take anyone else's time, so we can wrap up.
At the top of my LinkedIn profile, there is a calendar link. Get on my calendar. Let's have a conversation if you have a lot of questions.
Will do.
Yeah, Angela is phenomenal. Reach out to her.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Everyone have a great week, and we'll see you next week at the meeting.